The alien mother's choice in the heart of a dark and busy market. Under a sky full of strange stars, an alien mother stood with her child in her arms. Her skin was blue and soft, and her golden eyes were tired. She held her little child close. Feeling the small heartbeat against her chest, her child was weak from hunger, and the mother's heart broke every time the little one cried. She had nothing left to give. No food, no water. Nothing to sell except herself. Around her, many aliens moved quickly, trading, shouting, and bargaining. Some sold fruit and water. Some sold clothes. Others sold people. The mother watched the traders with fear. She knew this place was dangerous. But she had no other hope. Her child needed food, and she would do anything to save him, even if it meant selling herself. She heard two traders talking. That one said, pointing at her, "She will not last the night." The other laughed. "No one will buy a weak mother and a hungry child." The mother's hands shook, but she held her child closer. She could not let him die. She looked around for someone, anyone, who might help. Her eyes were full of hope and fear. At that moment, a human walked into the market. He looked different from the others. His hair was dark. His skin was pale. He wore simple clothes, but his eyes were kind. Most humans did not come here. It was a dangerous place. The human walked slowly. Watching the people and traders, he seemed to search for something. The mother felt something strange when she saw him. Was it hope, or was it just a dream? She did not know. She tried to hide her face, but the human saw her. He walked closer, and the traders laughed. "What do you want with her?" one asked. "She is no good. Her child is almost dead." The human did not listen to them. He looked at the mother and then at her child. He spoke softly. "Are you alone?" he asked. The mother nodded. She could not speak. She was afraid. The human looked at the traders. "How much?" he said. The traders looked at each other and smiled. For both, they asked, "No." The human said, "For the mother." The traders were surprised. "You want the mother, not the child." The human nodded. Yes. The mother's heart raced. She did not know what to do. She wanted to run, but she was too weak. She looked at her child, then at the human. The human waited. His eyes were gentle, not like the others. The traders named a price. It was high. The human did not argue. He gave them what they asked. The traders pushed the mother forward. Her child cried, reaching for her. The mother held her child tight. "You must let go," the trader said. The mother shook her head. "Please, let me keep him." She begged. The traders laughed. "No one wants a child who cannot work," they said. The human turned to the traders. "Let the child stay with the mother," he said. The traders frowned. But the human gave them more coins. Finally, they agreed. The human led the mother and her child away from the market. The air outside was cold, but quieter. The mother walked slowly, not sure if she could trust him. She was scared. She did not know what he would do. Her child cried softly. The human stopped and knelt down. He took a bottle of water from his bag and gave it to the mother. She drank a little, then gave it to her child. The child drank. His eyes bright for a moment. The human watched them. "My name is Jack," he said. The mother did not answer. She did not have a name here. She was just a thing to be sold. Jack saw her fear. "I will not hurt you," he said. "You are safe now." The mother wanted to believe him, but she had seen too much cruelty in this world. She did not know what he really wanted. Jack led them to a small house at the edge of the city. It was quiet and hidden. He opened the door and let them in. The house was simple but warm. There was a soft bed, food on the table, and clean water. The mother was shocked. No one had ever been kind to her before. She sat down, holding her child close. Jack gave her food. She ate slowly, watching him with careful eyes. Jack sat across from her. "You do not have to work for me," he said. "I only want you and your child to be safe." The mother could not believe it. She thought maybe this was a trick. Maybe he would change his mind. Maybe he was just waiting for something. She stayed awake all night, holding her child, listening to every sound, but nothing bad happened for the first time in a long time. The mother and her child slept in a warm place with full bellies. The mother wondered, who was this human, and why did he help her? What did he really want? The answers would not come tonight. But hope, small and fragile, grew in her heart and in the shadows outside. Someone watched the house, waiting long before the market and the pain. The alien mother had another life. She was born on a green planet where the sky glowed soft purple at night. On her homeworld, the wind was gentle, and rivers sang as they moved through the valleys. Her people were peaceful. They lived in round, bright houses and sang songs at sunset. She was once happy. Her name was Arila, and she loved her family. She was not always afraid in those days. Arila ran across the tall grass fields with her friends. They played games, picked fruit, and danced under two moons. Her parents told her stories of the old times, when their kind were free to travel. Across the stars, when Arila grew older, she met another from her people. His name was Sorrel. He was gentle and strong. Sorrel made her laugh. He brought her flowers and sang to her in the evenings. They married and built a small home together. After a time, they had a child. A baby with bright golden eyes and a laugh that sounded like music. For a while, everything was perfect. Arila believed her world was safe. She watched her child grow and felt nothing but joy. But trouble was coming. They heard rumors of strangers. From the dark places in space, no one believed the stories at first. Their world was hidden, safe behind gas clouds and asteroid belts. But one day, ships arrived, ships that shone like knives. These ships belonged to traders and hunters. They wanted rare things, things to sell, things to own. Some of Arila's people were taken. Some ran, some fought. Most did not survive. Sorrel tried to protect his family. He hid Arila and their child under the floor of their home. He went outside, hoping to stop the soldiers. Arila waited in the dark, holding her child. She listened. Two loud voices, the sound of fear and pain. She never saw Sorrel again. Her heart broke, but she could not cry. She had to be strong for her child. When the noise stopped, she took her child and ran into the wild. She walked for many days, hiding from the traders. She had little food, only hope to guide her. They crossed deserts and mountains, sleeping. In caves, sometimes she met others running from the hunters. Some helped, others were too scared. Each day, her child grew thinner, his eyes less bright. Arila whispered songs to him every night, trying to keep him alive. When they reached the edge of their world, Arila saw the traders' market. She knew it was not safe, but she had nothing left. She hoped to find food. Maybe someone kind. Instead, she was caught and put in a cage. The traders laughed, calling her weak. Her child was almost silent, too tired to cry. Now, as she sat in the small house on a strange planet, Arila remembered her old life. She remembered Sorrel's smile, her child's laughter, the songs of her people. The pain in her chest was sharp. But she kept it hidden. She did not want Jack, the human, to see her cry. She watched her child sleep. Safe and warm, for the first time in months, she was grateful, but her heart was full of questions. Jack was kind. He brought food and water. He checked on them often, but he did not ask her to work. He spoke softly, telling stories about the stars and his home. Jack lived alone, far from other humans. Arila wondered why. She watched him repair things, cook simple meals, sometimes sit in silence, staring at the sky. One day, Jack tried to teach her some words in his language. Arila listened, repeating the sounds slowly. Her child giggled, trying. to copy them. For a moment, the room was filled with gentle laughter. Jack smiled. "You are safe here," he said. Arila nodded, but deep inside, she was afraid. She did not know how long this peace would last. Outside the small house, the world was still dangerous. Arila had seen other humans before. Most of them were not kind. She wondered if Jack was different. Was he hiding something? Did he want something from her? She watched him closely, looking for any sign of a lie. Jack always seemed honest, but Arila could not trust easily. Not after all she had lost, late at night. Arila sat by the window, watching the stars. She missed her planet, her family, her old life. She wished she could go back. She wished her child could see their home. She held her child close and promised to protect him. No matter what happened, she whispered his name, hoping he would never forget where they came from, but far away in the shadows of the city. The traders remembered the blue-skinned mother who escaped with a human. They whispered to each other, planning. They wanted her back. They wanted to sell her again. Arila did not know it yet. But her fight was not over. The past was coming for her, and soon she would have to choose again. Inside the small house, hope and fear lived together. Arila closed her eyes and dreamed of home, while danger waited outside. When morning light touched the window, Arila opened her eyes. For a moment, she forgot where she was. The soft bed, the quiet air, and her child sleeping with a full stomach. It all felt like a dream. She looked around, half expecting to wake up back in a cold cage or under a broken sky. But she was still in the small house, far from danger. For now, Jack was already awake. Moving quietly in the kitchen, he cooked something that smelled warm and sweet. Arila's child woke up too, his small eyes blinking at the gentle light. For the first time in a long while, he did not cry when he woke. Arila stroked his hair, still not believing they were safe. Jack brought food to the table. He smiled at Arila and her child. "Eat," he said softly. "You need your strength." Arila nodded and took the food. It tasted different from the food of her home, but it was good. Her child ate hungrily. Crumbs falling down his chin, Jack laughed quietly. Not in a cruel way, but like a friend. Arila found herself smiling. Even if just for a moment, Jack sat with them. But he did not force Arila to talk. He watched her child play with a small wooden toy. "What is his name?" Jack asked. Arila hesitated. Her people believed that names had power. After a moment, she whispered, "Lero." Jack nodded. "Lero, that's a good name." After breakfast, Jack showed them around the house. There was a tiny garden with plants she had never seen. There was a small room with old books and papers. Arila saw a picture on the wall of Jack with other humans. They all looked happy. Jack noticed her looking, and his face grew sad. "That was my family," he said. "They are gone now." Arila lowered her eyes. Understanding the pain of loss, days passed slowly. Arila helped with simple things. She swept the floor and watered the garden. Jack did not ask her to work. She chose to help. It made her feel less afraid. At night, Jack read from his old books. Lero would fall asleep, listening to the strange words. Jack would smile at the sleeping child, and then at Arila. His eyes were tired, but gentle. Arila started to learn some human words. Jack tried to learn a few words from her language too. Their conversations were simple, but every day it became easier. Sometimes Jack told stories of his world, how he lost his home during a war, how he found this quiet place to live alone. Arila listened closely, understanding his loneliness. One afternoon, Jack found Arila outside. She was showing Lero how to draw shapes in the dirt. Jack sat beside them. "Do you miss your home?" he asked quietly. Arila looked at the sky, searching for words. "Yes," she whispered. "Every day." Jack nodded. "Me too," he said. For a while, they sat together in silence, feeling a sadness they both knew too well. But even in peace, fear was never far. Sometimes, Arila would wake at night, heart pounding, sure she heard footsteps outside. Sometimes Lero would have nightmares and cry. Arila would hold him until he slept again. Jack would check the doors and windows, making sure everything was locked. Arila trusted him a little more each day, but she never let go of her worry. One evening, Jack brought Arila and Lero a small gift. It was a soft blanket, blue like Arila's skin. "For you," Jack said, "to keep you warm." Arila touched the blanket, surprised by the kindness. She thanked him, and for the first time, she felt safe enough to close her eyes and sleep deeply. But strange things began to happen. Arila noticed shadows moving outside the window. At night, she thought maybe it was just her fear. But then Jack found strange marks near the garden. He grew more careful, always looking over his shoulder. Arila saw the worry in his eyes. Jack did not tell her everything, but she knew danger was coming. One morning, Lero was playing outside when he found a broken charm in the grass. It was the kind traders used to mark their property. Arila's heart filled with fear. She grabbed Lero and ran inside. Jack saw the panic in her eyes. "What's wrong?" he asked. Arila showed him the charm. Jack's face became hard. He put his hand on her shoulder. "I will keep you safe," he promised. That night, Arila sat by the window, the blue blanket around her shoulders. She looked at Jack, who stood by the door with a strong stick in his hand. Lero slept between them, breathing softly. Arila knew she could not run anymore. This place was their only hope. She would fight for it, just as Jack would. Together, they waited, hoping that tomorrow would bring peace, but knowing that the past was close behind. And in the darkness beyond the small house, someone watched and waited, their eyes cold and hungry for what they had lost. The days became colder, and the nights felt longer. Arila noticed the change. In Jack, he became quieter. He checked the locks again and again. He kept the lights off after sunset. His eyes often stared into the darkness outside, searching for things Arila could not see. Lero played quietly, sensing his mother's worry. And Arila tried to hide her fear, but it was not easy. Jack never spoke of the outside world anymore. He would listen for distant sounds, footsteps, voices, anything out of place. Sometimes Arila caught him standing at the window long after midnight, whispering words she did not understand. She wondered what Jack was hiding. She wondered if he was just afraid, or if there was something more he was not telling her. One night, while Jack was outside collecting wood, Arila found a box under his bed. She had never searched his things before, but tonight's curiosity was stronger than fear. The box was heavy. Inside were strange objects, a broken badge, a faded photo of Jack in a uniform, a small metal device with blinking lights. Arila did not understand what these things meant, but she felt they were important. She heard Jack's footsteps outside and quickly closed the box. When Jack came in, his face was pale. He was holding a letter in his hand. Arila watched as he read the letter in silence, then tore it into small pieces and burned it in the fireplace. His hands shook. Arila said nothing, but her mind was full of questions. That night, Arila whispered to Lero after he fell asleep. "We must be careful," she said. "This place is not what it seems." She wrapped Lero in the blue blanket Jack had given them. Her heart was heavy. She wanted to trust Jack. But trust was not easy for someone who had lost so much. The next day, a stranger came to the door. Jack told Arila and Lero to stay in the back room. Arila held Lero close, listening as Jack spoke quietly with the stranger. Their voices were low, sometimes sharp, sometimes there was a long silence. Arila heard the words, "traitors," "danger," and "run." When the door finally closed, Jack came back with a look of worry. He did not tell Arila what was said, but she saw fear in his eyes. Later, when Jack was outside, Arila asked Lero to stay near her. She searched the house for more clues. In a drawer, she found an old paper with strange writing at the bottom. There was a drawing of a spaceship, one she had seen in her dreams. Was it real? Was Jack a traitor, a soldier, or just a man running from his own pain? That night, Jack tried to act normal. He cooked dinner, told a quiet story, and gave Lero a small toy he had made. But Arila could see the shadow behind his smile. When Lero slept, Arila finally spoke. "Why did the stranger come?" she asked. Jack sat down, his shoulders heavy. "He warned me that the traitors are coming back," he said. "They're looking for you." For Lero, Arila's heart filled with cold fear. "Will you give us back?" she whispered. Jack shook his head. "No," he said. "I promised to protect you." Arila believed him, but she could not stop thinking about the secrets she had found. "Why do you live here alone?" she asked. "Why did you buy me?" Jack looked at her for a long time. "I lost my family in the war," he said softly. "I was a soldier. I did bad things. I came here to start over, to find peace." He took the badge from the box and showed it to her. "This is from when I was someone else," he said. "I do not want to be that person again." Arila saw the pain in his eyes. She understood loss. She understood regret. In that moment, she decided to trust Jack. Just a little more, but danger was closer than ever. That night, Arila heard movement outside. She woke Jack, and they peered through the dark window. There were shadows near the edge of the garden. Silent and patient, Jack told Arila to pack a small bag, just in case. Arila's hands shook as she put food, water, and the blue blanket into the bag. Jack stayed awake all night, guarding the door. Arila held Lero in her arms, her mind racing with fear and hope. She wanted to believe that Jack would keep them safe, but the world had taught her not to trust promises. She watched the first light of dawn and wondered what would happen next. In the quiet before sunrise, Jack sat beside her. "I do not have all the answers," he said, "but I know I will fight for you and Lero." No matter what, Arila nodded, feeling the truth in his words. She reached out and touched his hand. They were both running from the past, but now, together. Maybe they could face what was coming outside, hidden in the mist. The traitors were waiting. Their eyes were hungry, and their hearts were cold. Arila knew the time to hide was over, soon. They would have to choose, fight or run, trust or break. The secret world of the small house was ending, and the real test was about to begin. The world outside the small house was changing. The air felt heavy, and even the birds seemed to hide in silence. Jack watched the shadows near the garden grow longer every evening. He fixed the door and placed old tools and sharp sticks around the house. Arila could feel his fear. She kept Lero close and never let him out of her sight. Every night, Arila woke to the sound of footsteps or a branch breaking outside. Every morning, she was surprised the house still stood. One cold morning, Jack looked through the window and saw strange footprints in the mud. They were too big for a child and too many for just one person. Arila saw them too and pulled Lero close. Jack took a deep breath and said, "We must leave." Arila nodded. She was afraid, but she trusted Jack more than anyone else. They packed a small bag, food, water, the blue blanket, and a few tools. Jack checked the garden one last time. Then he led Arila and Lero through a small door at the back of the house. They moved quickly, trying not to leave any sign behind. They walked through the tall grass, then through the woods. Jack moved quietly, always looking around. Arila carried Lero on her back. Lero did not cry. He understood something was wrong. The forest was dark and full of strange sounds. Arila held the blue blanket close. It smelled like home, and she hoped it would protect her child. After some time, they stopped to rest under a fallen tree. Jack listened carefully. He heard voices far away, cruel and loud. "The traitors," Jack whispered. "They are looking for us." Arila felt her heart pound. Jack handed her a small piece of bread. "Eat a little," he said. "We have a long way to go." Arila ate and gave some to Lero. She tried to smile, but her hands were shaking. The sun was setting and the forest grew colder. Jack said they must move again. They walked all night. Following a narrow path that twisted between rocks and trees, Lero fell asleep on Arila's back. Dreaming of the old songs from his homeworld, Jack walked in front, sometimes stopping to listen. Once, they heard voices nearby, shouting and angry. Jack led them off the path, hiding behind big stones until the voices were gone. Arila remembered her escape from the traitors before. She remembered how fear felt like ice in her veins. But this time she was not alone. Jack was with her, and together they were strong. She looked at his face in the moonlight. He looked tired, but determined. She wondered if he was afraid. After many hours, they reached a river. The water was fast and cold. Jack found a small boat hidden in the reeds. "We will use this," he said. Arila stepped into the boat, holding Lero tightly. Jack pushed them away from the shore. The boat moved quietly down the river. The current was strong, but Jack guided them carefully. The sound of the water covered any noise, and the forest hid them from sight as they floated. Arila saw lights on the far side of the river. She saw shadows moving, searching the bank. The traitors were close, but could not see them. Arila breathed deeply, hugging Lero. Jack looked at her and whispered, "We are safe for now." Arila nodded, but she knew the danger was not gone. When the river slowed, Jack steered the boat. To a quiet spot, they climbed out, wet and cold, but alive. Jack found a dry place under a big tree and made a small fire. Arila wrapped Lero in the blue blanket. She watched the flames and thought about her home. She wondered if she would ever see it again. Jack sat beside her. "I'm sorry you have to run," he said. Arila shook her head. "You are helping us." She replied, "Thank you." Jack looked at the stars. "I lost my family too," he said quietly. "I promised I would never let someone else suffer if I could help." Arila listened and felt a small warmth in her heart. She reached out and touched his hand. For a moment, the fear faded. Suddenly, they heard footsteps. Jack stood quickly, holding a heavy stick. Arila pulled Lero behind her. But instead of a traitor, an old woman stepped out from the darkness. Her eyes were bright, and her face was kind. She looked at Jack and Arila. "You must hide deeper in the forest," she said. "They will not stop until they find you." Jack nodded. "Thank you," he said. The old woman gave them bread and a small bottle of medicine for the child. She said, "May you find peace." Then she disappeared into the night. Jack and Arila followed her advice, traveling deeper into the forest. Always listening, always watching, they moved quietly, together as a family, hoping for a place where they could finally rest. Behind them, the traitors grew angrier and more desperate. Their search was not over. But for tonight, Arila, Jack, and Lero found safety in the dark, wrapped in hope and the blue blanket. They slept side by side, ready to keep running, ready to fight for each other, never alone. The forest was thicker now. The trees grew close together and sunlight barely touched the ground. Jack led Arila and Lero deeper into the green shadows. Every sound seemed louder in the quiet. Every snap of a twig made Arila's heart jump. Still, Jack moved with calm steps, always looking for danger and safety at the same time. Days passed with slow fear and tired hope. Sometimes they found wild berries to eat. Sometimes Jack caught small fish in a stream. He always gave the best food to Lero. Arila watched him, remembering how traitors only took and never gave. She saw something different in Jack. She saw a new kind of strength. One afternoon, As they hid beneath a fallen log, Jack heard voices echoing through the trees. Arilla's breath froze. Lero held her hand tightly. The voices came closer. Shouting in a language Arilla did not know, Jack whispered, "Stay here," and slipped away between the branches. Arilla's mind raced with fear. She wanted to call him back, but she held Lero and waited. Jack moved through the woods like a shadow. He found the traders searching, their faces twisted with anger. They had dogs and metal sticks, ready to hurt anyone they found. Jack threw a stone far away to distract them. The dogs barked and ran after the sound. The traders followed. Jack hurried back to Arilla and Lero. "We must move now," he said. Arilla grabbed the blanket, picked up Lero, and ran behind Jack as fast as she could. They ran until they could not hear the traders anymore. Arilla's legs hurt, but she did not stop. They crossed a cold stream and hid under thick bushes. Jack checked to make sure they were safe. His shirt was torn and his face was scratched. Arilla touched his arm. "Are you hurt?" she asked. Jack shook his head. "It's nothing," he said, "as long as you and Lero are safe." That night, the forest was cold. Jack started a small fire with dry sticks. Arilla watched him work. She saw his hands shake from tiredness. She wrapped Lero in the blue blanket and sat close to Jack. For a long time, they sat in silence, listening to the wind in the trees. Jack's eyes were sad, but when he looked at Arilla and Lero, his face softened. Arilla realized she did not feel like a prisoner anymore. Jack had never treated her like something he owned. He listened to her, cared for her, and protected Lero. She remembered the stories her parents told her about kindness. She thought those stories were gone forever, but now, sitting beside Jack, she felt them come alive again. When Lero fell asleep, Jack whispered, "I know you miss your home." Arilla nodded, tears in her eyes. "I miss my family too," Jack said. "I lost everything in the war. That's why I wanted to help you." Arilla placed her hand on Jack's. Their fingers curled together. She understood now that Jack's heart was full of loss, but also full of hope. Suddenly, a branch snapped nearby. Jack stood and pulled Arilla and Lero behind a tree. Two traders moved through the darkness, shining lights on the ground. Jack put a finger to his lips and held his breath. The traders passed by, their lights never touching the hiding family. Arilla held Lero close, waiting until the danger was gone. The next day, Jack led them higher into the hills. The air was thin and cold. Arilla saw a strange building ahead, broken and empty. "We can rest here," Jack said. Inside the old house, Arilla made a bed from leaves and the blue blanket. Jack stood at the door all night, watching for anyone who might come. In the morning, Lero woke with a fever. Arilla's heart filled with fear. Jack searched his bag and found the medicine the old woman gave them. He mixed it with water and helped Lero drink. Arilla watched every move, her heart pounding. After some time, Lero's fever began to fall. Arilla looked at Jack with grateful eyes. "Thank you," she whispered. Jack smiled. "He is strong." Like his mother, that night, Arilla could not sleep. She sat beside Jack and looked at the stars through a broken window. "Why do you keep risking your life for us?" she asked. Jack thought for a moment. "Because you are my family now," he said. "Not by blood, but by choice." Arilla felt tears fall down her cheeks. She took Jack's hand and squeezed it tightly in the shadows. Arilla found something she thought she had lost: a reason to trust, a reason to hope. She knew the traders would not stop hunting them, but she also knew that together they were stronger. Jack's sacrifice was not just to protect her and Lero, it was to build a new kind of family, one where love and kindness could win over fear. Outside, the night was full of danger, but inside the broken house, a small light burned. Arilla, Jack, and Lero sat close together, sharing warmth, sharing dreams. And for the first time since her world ended, Arila believed that maybe, just maybe, they could survive and even find happiness again. The days grew warmer as spring came to the hills. The old house, once a place of hiding, became a home for Arila, Jack, and Lero. The traders still searched the forests and the roads, but with every sunrise, their angry voices grew more distant. Life was still full of fear, but now there was also laughter, hope, and something soft blooming in their hearts. Jack spent his mornings repairing broken windows and planting seeds around the house. Arila and Lero helped. They dug in the earth together, planting tiny green sprouts. Lero loved to run under the trees. Chasing sunlight, sometimes he would sing old songs from his mother's world. Arila's heart ached, but she smiled. She wanted her child to remember his past, but also to feel safe in this new place. One evening, a bird with blue and gold feathers landed on the windowsill. Arila took it as a sign. She began to tell Lero stories about their home planet. The rivers, the songs, the purple sky. Jack listened, sometimes closing his eyes as if he could see that lost world too. The sadness in his heart grew lighter each day. He was no longer just a soldier or a man running from his past. He was part of something new, but the danger was not gone. One morning, Lero saw smoke in the distance. Jack climbed the hill to look. He saw a group of traders setting up camp closer than before. Jack hurried back, his face hard. "We must leave," he said. Arila nodded. There was no time for tears. They packed what little they had: food, the blue blanket, Jack's tools, and a small flower Lero had picked for his mother. They waited until night, then slipped into the dark forest. Jack led the way. Moving fast but careful, Arila followed. With Lero on her back, the moon was bright, showing their path but also making them easier to see. Arila's heart beat like thunder in her chest. She whispered to Lero, "Be brave, my little star." For hours they walked, never stopping. The sound of the traders faded behind them. But still, they did not slow down. Near dawn, they reached a high cliff. Below, a quiet valley opened like a secret world. Jack pointed. "There, we can be safe," he said. Arila looked down and saw a small village surrounded by trees and wildflowers. It felt like hope. They climbed down the steep path, helping each other at the edge of the village. An old woman came out to meet them. She had bright eyes, like the one who helped them in the forest. She listened to their story and nodded. "You are safe here," she said. "This is a place for those who have lost and those who wish to begin." Again, in the new village, people did not ask questions about the past. They shared food and smiles. Arila helped in the gardens. Jack worked with his hands, fixing roofs and mending tools. Lero played with other children. He learned new games and words, but at night, he still wanted his mother to sing old songs. The blue blanket stayed with them always, a sign of their journey and the promise Jack made to protect them. As the days passed, Arila saw Jack laugh more. The lines of worry on his face grew softer. Sometimes he would look at Arila and Lero with gentle eyes. She knew now that what they had was real. Jack had chosen them, not out of duty, but out of love. And Arila had chosen Jack, not out of fear, but out of hope. One evening, as the sun set golden behind the hills, Jack took Arila's hand. Lero held both of them and smiled. They stood together. A small family made by choice, not by blood. Arila looked at the sky and whispered thanks to the stars. She knew she could never return to her old world, but here she could build something new. Word spread in the village about the blue-skinned mother and the human who protected her. Some whispered, some wondered, but most simply welcomed them. Jack was no longer a stranger. Arila was no longer a slave. Lero was no longer a child running from fear. Together, they were a family, stronger than any pain or danger. Many nights later, Arila told Lero once, I sold myself to save you. I thought all hope was gone. But kindness found us when we least expected it, and love grew where we only knew fear. Jack hugged them both, and for the first time, Arila knew the past could not hurt them anymore. A new dawn rose over the valley, bright and gentle. The family stood outside their small house, faces warm in the sunlight. No more running, no more hiding. Their story was no longer about what they lost, but about what they found each other. And in that quiet morning, with the promise of a new life, Arila, Jack, and Lero stepped forward together into a world made not by fate, but by their own courage and love.